Now, let's shift gears and we're going to get going with our next panel discussion. The B2B marketing playbook for a post-COVID world. In this ever-evolving world, get ready to unlock the secrets of engaging your audience like never before. Your audience and propelling your brand to the forefront of success with our moderator, Ms. Gabrielle Barros, Chief Marketing Officer at Kade Pay, and our panelist, Morgan Horn, CEO and founder at Evergreen Digital Marketing, and our panelist, Mr. Drew Detzler, CMO of DemandJump. Thank you, guys.
Hi, hello. Sorry, there was a little admin error. My name is Morgan Horn. I'm CEO of Evergreen Digital Marketing, and Gabrielle will also be participating. I'm just the moderator-ish person, and so I hold a standard mic instead. I am not as special as you two, but thank you so much for being here today, everybody, and thanks so much for coming. Hopefully all the B2C people have left the room so we can actually have some real fun in here now. But look, what we're going to talk about is essentially how much, COVID accelerated a lot of things, as well as there was a lot of industry trends that happened during COVID. And we're going to talk about ultimately how is B2B marketing being affected, and what's really going to be happening in the future as well. So I think
looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's get going. So can you guys tell me maybe some of the things that you noticed that happened during COVID with a lot of your clients in the B2B industry?
Sure. I mean, one of the things that we, being a content strategy and SEO platform, saw that COVID drastically increased the speed at which people were trying to take care of their digital transformation, I guess was the buzzword, right?
Get online.
But you can no longer count on foot traffic or face-to-face sales. Everything had to be moved online overnight, right? So that was obviously no shock, but we helped tons of clients with that. I'm sure we'll walk through that here a little bit. How about yourself?
I believe that the path to sale, that changed a lot, because no face-to-face introductions, no events, no dinners. So that really changed when it was online, depending on text that you send, emails that you send, content that you create. So that path to sale really changed and might have been the hardest thing.
Yeah, and it's so funny you say that, because I do think ultimately the path to sale has permanently changed, because especially now so many more people in the B2B hemisphere are looking to just purchase products online. So from more of an e-commerce pathway, which originally wasn't the case, prior to the COVID era, like Ryan mentioned earlier, so many more people were going to conferences, there was so much more foot traffic, referrals a lot for professional services specifically. Referrals were coming in just word of mouth via meeting events, and now a lot of these organizations then had to essentially transform their businesses to find and create those leads online and use those journeys and build those journeys. Okay. So what were some of the marketing channels that you think were, I would say, helpful or helped accelerate some of this transformation the most?
I think LinkedIn more than ever. I rarely see companies that are not using LinkedIn as a channel for prospect. Believe it or not, TikTok has helped a lot. Yeah. Some crazy companies were there to use it to create some content and use B2B content influencers to advertise their brand. So I get, TikTok has a lot, we have a lot to learn with TikTok yet, but I think those two were the most, especially LinkedIn, were the most used for.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to hammer SEO, right? And
yeah. You wouldn't be good at your job if you didn't.
It's the easy answer here, but it truly is the channel that we saw take off the most, right? I mean, we had tons of manufacturing, even customers, B2B manufacturing customers that had zero interest in their online website as far as driving leads and driving sales and driving leads through the funnel. That immediately overnight had to put all of their dollars into that and saw amazing results, right? But I think by far and away, SEO leapt forward significantly
Yeah.
during COVID and coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
I think it opened people's eyes.
I do think I definitely agree with the both of you, because I do think during the pandemic we saw people like, just for an example, if anybody's familiar with this influencer, Miss Excel, she was essentially a woman that was let go during the pandemic and then started doing Excel tutorials online, and now she does all of these partnerships with large B2B organizations. And I do think we saw so many different influencers come into the B2B hemisphere during that time. But similar to yourself, there, Drew, I totally agree with the fact that, you know, a lot of content marketing and organic work was then put in. I do think a lot of that is also correlated to, say, like the iOS 14.5 update that came out, and so a lot of organizations could no longer track those individuals. So then a lot more money came into organic from there. But I mean, based on this, you mentioned manufacturing industries. For me personally, I saw a lot within the professional services for them making those digital transformations. But are there any other industries off the top of your head you guys could think about?
I think SaaS B2B companies are they changed a lot too.
Yeah, they probably also use, you know, something like influencer marketing a bit more as well.
Yes, they're starting to, because B2B influencer marketing is a complete different thing than B2C. You have, they don't just create content. They are, they talk about your brand, but they can honestly influence someone without creating content. So it's really new for the market to understand and start work with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's go into what, like, you know, I'm sure we're all sick of this term now, but the new normal of what is going to be, you know, COVID, post-COVID B2B marketing. And what are some of the things that you think are important for digital transformations now? I wouldn't say necessarily at this point it's a digital transformation, because I think a lot more organizations have put themselves online, but to essentially keep that digital presence. What would you say are some of the most important things now for a business to consider to make sure that they are well prepared to go back online, or even turn, you know, their online revenue into their most important marketing funnel?
Yeah, if you sat in my colleague Ryan's presentation earlier, he talked about how reliant B2B marketers are on paid advertising, Google ads, and how much of a pain in the side it is. And that's where people go immediately, because when they need to drive leads overnight, you immediately go there because you can see the results right away, one-to-one. And a lot of them skipped past content creation. But for long-term success of a digital transformation, you can't just throw your money at Google ads. You need to create content. You need to create clusters of content to become an authority on a topic. Content is the only appreciating marketing asset in my eyes. It will drive leads in a couple weeks. It'll drive leads 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now, where ads and immediate paid programmatic is gone once you spend it. It's a short life cycle.
Absolutely.
I agree 100%. Sorry to interrupt you, but I come from a background of paid media. I was a performance marketer before, and especially on the B2B world, the paid ads is just the tip of the iceberg. You have to get that authority, you have to create your content, you have to show why people can trust you.
Absolutely.
We, with paid ads, we supplement our content with paid ads. So any keywords that we aren't ranking for, that we know will drive high quality leads, we'll pay for them. All the while trying to figure out how to rank for them organically, because that will be long-term more cost efficient. And there are also studies that show, we've done multiple analysis in multiple companies that I've been at, that show if you are ranking high organically for a keyword and you're paying for it, so if you have kind of double coverage, there's a trust factor there that shows that your click-through rate will go up on both organic and paid. So,
interesting.
In some instances, as soon as you're ranking for it, doesn't mean pull back ads entirely, but it means you can pull back ads quite a bit and still see great performance.
And exactly, and see great performance, because you will pay a little cheaper, your CTR will be better, your campaign will be better. So all work together.
I agree with that, and I also do think, especially when it comes to client retention as well, or customer retention, organizations do really need to think about utilizing content effectively, because studies have shown that will increase the retention rate of your clients and your customers, because you're still offering valuable information to them that's outside of maybe necessarily just your service realm.
Yeah. So, I'm sure you work with a lot of customers that you do paid and content for, right?
Yes, yeah.
How do you manage that back and forth? When do you push ads and when do you push?
Well, it definitely depends, and I know there was a speaker earlier who said something like, marketers always say it depends. Well, yeah, I say it depends a lot. And some of that may depend on maybe the media budget of some organizations. So if they have a smaller media budget, I'm going to recommend something more so along the lines of capturing emails through some sort of free lead magnet or something along those lines with content that you can utilize organically, and could also potentially be utilized and boosted with the paid media budget. There are other ways around different strategies, because at the end of the day, you can't always optimize for organizations, especially from paid advertising, just for conversion, because guess what, that cost per acquisition is going to be so high, and if I have a smaller client, I'm not going to recommend that right away. I'm going to recommend nurturing something like especially like content creation, that's something's a bit more organic, and SEO as well, to openly, allow a bit more of the organic traffic to come through, but equally, also see some of those leads.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads into our next topic there, Drew, good one, about more so around content strategy and, especially how that's changed. I would say, don't mean to add on, but, something I've definitely noticed is more individuals and companies doing content strategy, and companies encouraging their employees to create content for their organizations, because I think it does help, acquire more individuals, because you see somebody you can trust. How about you guys? What are you thinking?
Go.
I give my take.
Yeah.
I mean,
of course.
you definitely see that with individuals at the company creating content, be it social media and otherwise, because we trust people more than we trust brands. That's no secret. That's been known for a long time. When it comes to, and you guys are both better experts than I on social and other channels. When it comes to website content, we've seen a major shift with all of the constant algorithm updates, right, around the useful content update that we've seen recently. But we've seen a major shift in what content you should be creating. And you need to answer the questions that your target market is asking. I can't tell you how many, I was at Angie's List for a long time, and we had a massive content team. I can't tell you how many times I was in a meeting, we were whiteboarding what we should be writing about that quarter, that month, and it was, I don't know, I rake leaves this time of year. Should we write about raking leaves? Yeah, throw it up there. And that's two people's opinion. And using tools that are out there that aggregate all these search behaviors and actually answering those questions that your target audience is actually asking.
Absolutely.
Goes leaps and bounds, as opposed to just whiteboarding and deciding what content to write based off of internal jargon.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I was doing that for the company that I work, even seeing comments on your competitors' social media, seeing Google evaluations of that software or that company. Try to see what people are talking about and what are their main questions, their main pain. So you can fix that on your content.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with B2B, it's almost like I feel as though we almost need to supply more educational content than maybe B2C clients or, maybe products that people are purchasing, because there's a lot about that product most people are already going to know, versus something like a software as a service where there are a lot of intricate details, and you need to best explain those things as possible, and also encourage people to learn more by getting a demo. So I definitely do agree that we need to supply, our strategies need to contain more educational content within them for them to be the most effective they can possibly be. So This kind of goes into our next point in regards to, say, around data specifically, because there's been a huge transformation in regards to how people are collecting data, and even more so now, that continues to bring, privacy becomes essentially at the forefront of what we're doing, especially online. I guess I would be kind of more curious, Drew, if you could elaborate on maybe like the importance of making data-driven decisions, especially now that people do have data and you're collecting that information, and how that maybe has changed since COVID.
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit, right? Not just because of COVID, because of other changes that were made around the same time too.
Absolutely.
So, shameless plug, right? We have a tool called DemandJump that we use at DemandJump, and it is not reliant on cookie data or who you are or you know, anything about your persona. It's all about your product, your topic, and it aggregates all that information, and it tells you exactly what content to create to be an authority on that topic. Again, my colleague Ryan talked about the TAM, SAM, SOM analogy of it earlier, and attacking that TAM and making sure you're covering all of the topics around that topic is agnostic of the persona or who that person is individually. And if you cover that entire topic, you'll ensure that whoever it is and wherever they are in the buying journey, that they're finding your content, they're finding it useful and helpful. Back to the previous question around education.
Absolutely.
One thing that I wanted to compliment is that people talk about data and how it's important and we should have a lot of numbers and a lot of things, but understand that data.
Yeah.
There is nothing that you can do if you have a bunch of information and you don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
Sit down, read, understand why that person got out of that web page, why that person did not subscribe, why that person did not get a demo. And that is the main reason why we have so much data, because we need to sit down, we need to study. If you don't have how to do it, hire a freelancer, hire someone to your team so they can be exclusive to be dedicated to that data and understand and take the best of what you can of that information.
The understanding of data clicked something with me, because I think that's one thing that came out of the last 4 years is when all of these dollars were shifted to online overnight, right? All these dollars were shifted to online. It became so much more important to measure and closely measure and report on and look at all those channels that you're spending on now, where historically SEO was, go spend money. You know, it's a long-term play. It's a 6 to 12 month play. We won't measure it immediately. Other branding, podcasts, you know, it's a branding play. There are all types of different branding elements, going to conferences, just getting your name out there. There are all kinds of branding plays that traditionally weren't measured very tightly. And now when it was all put online, everything could be measured more closely. And I think coming out of that and where we're going in the future is, no matter what it is, it's going to be expected to be measured and to have a cost per lead, a ROAS, or whatever acronym you use. So I think that's one thing that we're going to see a lot moving forward. Everything has to be measured.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what I'm seeing a lot of even still now is, you know, so many people panicked and they put these data infrastructures into place, and then ultimately they're realizing maybe, you know, APIs haven't been connected correctly, and like there's an overlap, so there's actually been double numbers. You know, really taking the time when you're first starting out and building your digital infrastructure to put the right data structures in place and make sure that they're running correctly is going to save you all the time and money in the
Don't
future.
Rush.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
rush. The information is there. It's going to be there. Just take your time. Study your audience. Study what best tool can you have.
Absolutely.
Study analytics. Google Analytics is changing. It's it's gonna change forever. So.
Or hire the specialist who has.
Hire a specialist to do that.
Exactly. I do think another thing as well is, or things like UTMs, especially because a lot of my clients utilize lead magnets, utilizing those UTMs to figure out how people are following the structure, if this content is necessarily, you can build a lead magnet and think it's actually doing wonders for your business, and it might not actually be. So, making sure you're tracking those downloads to figure out how effective this is, and if people are actually utilizing those pieces of content with that product or with your services is really what's going to be helpful even further down the line to best optimize your business as well.
Yep, big time.
So, we've really plowed through a lot in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So really, what are some of the future trends you guys think you're seeing at the moment?
Well, I think it's not a future, but it's something that I've been listening a lot, and it's more on this data storm that we've been through. But is getting deep into your customer, getting deep into what they need, what are the desires, what their dreams inside of their companies. We're talking B2B, so we're selling to someone inside of a company. So how can that person be promoted by using your tool?
Absolutely.
How can you help her? So that is something that I've been checking a lot from podcasts, videos. It's a trend of listening, trying to understand more of your audience, so you distribute a content or a strategy that is more personalized.
Absolutely. I think personalization is going to be, a massive new era that we can utilize, especially with these data infrastructures.
Yes.
And as more people have them, say if I have a small business client who is working specifically in e-commerce, we should be able to pinpoint that on our back end now to then be selling and sending, useful information, useful articles to create and increase that client retention and create and build that trust.
Exactly.
So I do think personalization is going to be very, very interesting. Do you have any thoughts about personalization, Drew, on your end?
You guys are personalization experts. Our focus on SEO is person agnostic.
Yeah.
It's focused on the topic.
Exactly.
Helping people. But when it comes to personalization and follow-up, it's absolutely going to play a role. Continue to play a role, right?
Absolutely. And among email marketing as well, I do think, because now you can start to build certain drip funnels that are actually effective for your clients or for potential customers that are only going to accelerate, I think, that loyalty and trust. I think also with that personalization level, we see, especially for B2B, the amount of touch points that we usually have to go through with a client or a potential customer or a client is, dozens. But with something along personalization, maybe we're actually starting to accelerate that decision-making process a bit more because we're creating and we're honing in on the demands, like you said, or the dream of what that business is going to want. Which I think is incredibly interesting, and I'm excited to see where that goes moving forward. I know it's kind of like the elephant in the room at this point, but, what would you think the thoughts with B2B content marketing and AI are going to be? Where do you guys kind of see that going, or what have you noticed is happening already?
Generative AI, when it comes to website content and content strategy, is still obviously the wild, wild west and completely unknown, right? Our stance is that Google's entire business is reliant on the input of human experience. It is reliant on humans going out, learning things, interacting, and then bringing that experience back to Google, right? If we focus too much on using generative AI to create content for our websites, that will limit the amount of human experience that's being put in because it will only be learning from previously posted things. So as far as Google's view, it would be extremely damaging to them to allow bulk generative AI created content uploaded into their system, because there's the lack of human experience, and it's not intaking any new knowledge, it's just learning from what it already has. That said, you can use it to assist in the creation of content,
Exactly.
but it shouldn't be the main driver. It shouldn't be cut and paste.
I did a test. I created a website with AI content, completely, and another one with organic content and everything. And the AI content is not half of the reach and the potential that human content has.
Absolutely.
So, as you said, we can use to assist, and it does. It helps a lot, especially when you're blocked. Like, brainstorm with ChatGPT is amazing. But when it comes to create content for your brand, when you want to create an image, when you want to create a voice, a character, no, you have to think, you have to go deep, you have to write.
Yeah, exactly. It is in search engines' best interest to determine what is completely generative AI written content, and weed it out.
Absolutely.
So while it may provide short-term wins, I would just be very cautious to rely on it heavily for your website content.
Oh, totally. I completely agree with that. And I do think that's also something we're also going to potentially see, I would say, on social media as well. Because social media they've restructured a lot of these platforms to now be their search engines, in a sense. Even LinkedIn has completely changed the platform so that if you're searching certain keywords, that's how you'll find people, you'll find companies, that it's going to also probably be within their best interest at some point to define what that line is going to be with AI generation. And I think that's going to be a very interesting line to draw, because I do think it can be useful, especially at the top of your funnel, like you said, with a lot of brand awareness. We're doing so much brand awareness that it comes to a point that it can be helpful, but saying what you said, Gabrielle, I mean, especially if you're a thought leader in these organizations, you're gonna know that this is just, it's not.
Come on, we are already starting to identify some copies that start with ChatGPT, like random things.
When people have written an email,
that wasn't you.
Are there any use cases that either of you have found that using the AI tools does make your job easier, saves your team time? Has there been anything?
It saves me time.
And what have you used it for?
Copy. Most of it copy. But keyword. Searching topics for the blog. It helps me create, it helps me brainstorm.
Yeah, especially with my upper funnel things, or say advertising copy. I think it's really important. Sometimes we hit a wall with how we're going to write things, especially when we're smaller businesses and we don't have the budget for, an expert copywriter. And you've hit a wall, but you need to change that tone and you just don't know how. I mean, there are only so many words I know in the English language, and I still sometimes can't write my copy the best I would like to. And using something like ChatGPT, especially when you can clearly communicate what your brand message and tone is, can be helpful. But again, it's, having somebody who is probably, knows exactly what's going to be needed from a marketing standpoint to utilize that tool, you can see some effectiveness from it. But I mean, if you're just shooting in the dark and you don't know what your brand tone is, what you're looking for, who your target audience is, then, it's really probably not going to get you where you want to be going.
Content. It's not that good.
Exactly.
That's what we have used it for too. Testing. We're not going to use it for broad website content creation, but for the creativity, the brainstorming, like you were mentioning.
A/B testing. That's a great idea.
A/B testing CTAs, A/B testing. A/B testing H1s or H2s. We have instances where we have an H1 or H2, and we say, give me, you inputting your tone and that kind of thing, and then say, give me 10 more versions of this for this audience, and then picking out a handful of those and using those for A/B testing. Same with email. We've done emails that are some of our better performing emails, but give me 5 new subject lines along the same line of XYZ, and even changing up the body copy to see what gets a better click rate and things like that. We use it a lot for A/B testing, just because, again, when you're a small team, you don't have a team of copywriters to say, hey, go brainstorm different ideas, a different version of this email, where you can do it rather easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I definitely have been utilizing it for CTAs.
Yeah.
You know, because there's only, like I said, there are only so many words in the English language I know that, like, you know, it's great to have, you know, 10 other options to test what's actually going to be most effective.
Exactly.
What are any other predictions you guys are thinking? Obviously, I've used the big one, or the big whale, which is the AI.
Well, I don't know. I think when it comes to B2B, we produce a lot of content and a lot of bad content too. We do a lot of ebooks that we don't need to do them. We do a lot of those things, and what I'm wrapping my mind on is how to create content without being just one more content.
Yep.
Just one more post. Come on, we have a lot of things on social media. We have a lot of blog posts, we have Google, but how can we communicate directly to that person that's gonna influence them and in a good post or in a good video or in a good, I think content, video and content creation will always be something that is been improving.
Yep. I sent you guys some articles on the percentage of B2B buyers that are leaning online as opposed to offline historically, and it's only increasing. 75% would prefer to handle everything online as opposed to meet with a sales rep. You know, there are 75% of decision makers right now were born post-internet creation. I've never known a non-internet world, right? So all of these folks are, it's only going to become more prevalent that people want to do everything online. So ensuring that you have a network of content around your topic and that you're showing up when people are asking questions related to your business and your products and services is going to become only more important.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of ties into a lot of what I've been seeing online as well about, you know, doing more so around account-based marketing, which is the technical term, which is, you know, integrating content from employees and essentially encouraging employees to have, I know HubSpot does an incredible job of this, is encouraging their account managers to essentially have their own structures of, you know, their own funnel and in essence to encourage people to create content that they're utilizing online, to write blog posts and, you know, continue to create a community that's an extension of not just the overall funnel that is HubSpot, but also, you know, the smaller funnels that are their account managers. And they've actually released a lot of data about it, and it shows that their account managers actually perform better. They are receiving more performance because I do think a lot more people look at their content online and say, oh, that's just not another company posting another thing. It's like, oh, well, you know, that's Craig. You know, we went to high school together or, you know, college together, and he really seems to know what he's talking about, you know, and utilizing those funnels a bit more to create a more, again, personalized experience, yet, you know, including building almost personal brands around the account managers that you're utilizing, I think can be really, really, really effective. I would also say, you know, something you're really seeing a lot more now is B2B influencers. That's only increasing more and more, and is almost going to be something now in a B2B space that a lot of us are going to potentially have to consider further down the line. Maybe not necessarily if you're service oriented, but definitely if you say have like a software as a service and a product online, utilizing in a B2B influencer is, you know, going to be, you know, probably is an experience in the near future. I mean, LinkedIn influencers have now recently launched, I think within the last year. I do think that's something that we may need to consider as well. Do you guys want to add on to that?
I am actually trying to start working on that.
Yeah.
Myself, I've been searching some influencers and searching how to work with them, because it's not just, it's different from B2C. You just don't just, hey, talk about my brand and no. It needs to be contextualized. You need to talk to that person. You need to create a narrative. You need to have your content synced with what he will say, and that when it comes to B2B, it's pretty different. It's pretty new. I'm kind of studying what am I going to do, how am I going to do it, because we don't have a lot of people that had that experience. So go there trying to test.
Yep. Yeah, along the lines of LinkedIn influencers and trusting humans more than brands, I think customer marketing is going to be an even more important thing moving forward for B2B marketing. Relying on your best customers to promote your product and spread the word about your product. I think that's going to become, I think that's the next frontier. I think that's going to
Absolutely.
I've seen products pop up. I'm getting more and more emails about customer marketing platforms and businesses. So I think that's going to be a rather large one we'll see.
And I'm sure we've all seen hundreds of landing pages in between as a collective, but you know, it really rings true when you see a landing page that actually has testimonials from customers or clients on
especially videos from customers. That is amazing. I really like that.
So, I mean, we have about 15 minutes left, but I'm kind of curious, you guys, what would some of maybe the suggestions or, you know, recommended strategies you would maybe bring to somebody at this point to kind of prepare for this certain future? What would you recommend? You know, where would you recommend they put in their focus? For me personally, I'm like, put in your data infrastructure. Focus on it, you know, tend to it as much as you need to, no matter how long it takes. Get approved on Google if you're doing display advertising. Go through those verification processes, and you know, it's going to take longer, it's going to be frustrating, but doing it now is going to save you so much in the future. For any organization you work with, or even, you know, if you utilize individuals in-house, the amount of that data, the value of that data infrastructure is going to be priceless. It's going to be utilized as long as your business is around. So you better take the time to invest in it. What do you guys think?
Wholeheartedly agree. Gabrielle?
I think do your homework. Do your structure first. The basics will always work. So don't try to be the trend. Don't try to be the top first. Do the homework, fix the data, fix the ads, fix the SEO, do the homework first, let everything work, and then you spend, and then you go to the next trend, and then you go to, it's future, there is a lot of things going on, we all want to do a lot of things, but the basics will always work. And after you do your homework, you can do anything. So,
I agree. Measure everything. Absolutely measure everything. Depending on what stage of a company you are, the earlier stage you should be measuring absolutely everything. The larger of company you are, more branding plays come in. But the other point that I will say that I think we should all be focused on is our content strategy. We need to wean ourselves off of the immediate drug of paid search and other immediate paid avenues. We need to wean ourselves off of that and focus on a long-term sustainable strategy, content strategy.
Absolutely. I was actually just going to chime in and ask you again about that, Drew, because a really big thing you see with a lot of organizations is they're like, oh, well, we're going to put together 25 blog posts and we're going to upload all of them right now. And you're like, wait. And, you know, moderation is so important when you're first starting out with your organization in a digital hemisphere, because, you know, even just taking those 25 pieces of content, even though you want them uploaded yesterday, just pacing them to even go out once a day or even, you know, once a week. So you're really starting to recognize that, okay, well, this needs to be done once a week, or I can focus on future-proofing my business, and my digital presence is so important, because I see so many people or even organizations online that are like, okay, well, we're going to start posting and we're going to post absolutely every single day, and they realize that's no longer sustainable. And now they don't even have, you know, a content library or anything to utilize utilize at those points when they are burnt out. So then a lot of things just go silent. So I would absolutely agree with the idea of, using something that is sustainable.
That's exactly why I say, it's exactly why I say content strategy and not create content. You can create content, you can go out and create content, dump it, and forget about it. But you need to really focus on that content strategy so that it's an ongoing process, because that signals to search engines that you continue to be an authority and an expert on a topic, and then you're continuing to learn about that topic and post about that topic.
Exactly, and staying consistent online is only going to, show people that you are either that thought leader or that expert in that field. And doing that, even if it's only once a week, is more powerful over time than, doing it for every single day for, say, 15 days.
Yep.
But
I agree.
Agreed.
Great, guys. Well, we have finished early. Maybe I have done everybody a favor by finishing 10 minutes early. Carlos has not waved us off the stage.
Are we going to open to questions, or?
Does anybody have any questions? Fabulous.
In the first half, you talked quite a bit about content, and I'm just trying to connect, the B2B marketing playbook, especially in the new digital world that we're in. Is content a significant part of a B2B marketing strategy, or are there other pieces beyond that one needs to think about?
Do you want to take this first? Go ahead. You go first.
Content is, there are many forms of content, right? There's video content, social content, written content, written website content, email. So content is a very broad word. But I think it touches every aspect of your B2B marketing playbook. Absolutely. Yeah.
Company names, but based on your experience, some specific areas, because I agree with you, content touches everything. There's also the execution of
Yes.
marketing. For some specific examples in the B2B world.
Yeah, I mean, I can give specific examples of a customer of ours and how they used SEO content. And that's Cummins is one of our customers. Cummins is a company that I'm sure all of you know, B2B, large B2B manufacturing and engine company. They have focused, over the last 4 years, they've focused quite a bit on SEO and content creation. So they have used our platform along with other SEO tools to determine what content they should be writing. They wanted to rank for diesel engines. They want to be #1 when you search diesel engines. So using SEO tools, they put in diesel engines into our platform, and it shows them all of the sub-pillars that they should be writing, all of the 16+ sub-long forms of content that they should be putting on their website. Best diesel engines, most efficient diesel engines, diesel engine, I'm not a diesel engine expert, so that's where my expertise stops. But then beyond that, what are the blogs, what are the specific blogs that you should be writing on that topic, and how you connect that and how you link that within your website boosts their rankings for everything around that topic. And then within that, maybe one of those is, one of the questions that they answer and write a short blog on is, who produces the best diesel engines? And that allows them to create a video on that, answering that topic, posting it on that, as well as on LinkedIn, which drives traffic to that blog, and so on. But that content's a broad word, but that's one example from my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we have another question real quick, but I do just want to elaborate on the fact of, essentially the congruency that you really need with the content, say, at certain levels of your funnel. So especially at brand awareness, in the example, just like Drew mentioned, about how utilizing, say, a video about diesel engines, and then, say, a few posts on Instagram about other diesel engines, or, how to, fix something in a diesel engine, and then essentially linking that to, say, something on your website. So then there's that blog post on your website about the value of diesel engines or certain types of diesel engines, and then that leads to specifically a certain diesel engine product for that manufacturer or organization, or encourages you to reach out so that you can learn more about diesel engines. That's essentially slowly utilizing that content and utilizing congruency to slowly bring people down your funnel to essentially drive that call that leads, to a potential customer or client, or just drive that interest in your business. Because like we said, it takes a lot of time, especially if you have a higher ticket client, for people to then decide to purchase or to then, decide to sign up. And so just taking, essentially driving that consideration even further down to say, wow, these people really know what they're talking about. If I can't use them now, I'll use them later. Does that answer your question?
It's what we refer to as a considered purchase. The more considered a purchase, the more content and the more education you'll need around it. Yeah, I'm happy to provide more examples afterwards.
Yep.
So to build on that conversation, a lot of talk around content, data, generative AI, not just ChatGPT, that's shot around the world.
Yeah.
There are other technologies built around safety. So there are generative AI, like videos, graphics,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Have you explored B2B strategies to deploy all of that omni-channel, omni-technology to kind of global reach?
Yeah, I've definitely explored them, but for my B2B clients, I wouldn't say they're entirely as effective. Maybe for software as a service, because you could potentially just do a demo and then utilize, say, a generative voiceover AI to run through that demo instead of it being somebody else.
But so what about, like, so that diesel,
Yeah.
what about generating video around whatever set diesel mentioned?
So like,
Yeah.
there's an instance of taking a piece of blog that you've written, inputting that into, is that kind of what you're saying, inputting that into a video generation?
Blog, inputting a scientific paper, inputting video data into a video generator, recording the narrator's voice into it, and saying, creating a campaign based around this entire automatically generated.
I can say for myself, and I use a lot of AI, nothing will substitute a person doing it. Nothing. And especially, AI is there, but it's not that good. Come on.
I was going to ask.
The video is not
have
that
you
good.
seen one of those
the
videos?
graphics not that good.
You've created them? Have you just seen one, say, like on your feed or something, and did you think, wow, that was really, really, really engaging? Yeah, I feel like if you are a pro at those things, I'm sure you're getting paid well to make a really good video with those. But I would say a lot of them, again, they're probably maybe not used in the best capacity that they could be. But equally, like I said, no, of course, no, I totally understand that. And I do think, again, what Gabrielle has mentioned, that I think transparency is really big with B2B as well. And you're walking on a fine line utilizing, say, like an entire AI generated video, because there's really not much thought put into that, especially with just having a person there. And like we've said, a lot of account-based marketing has become really, really important with
People
B2B.
like people.
Yeah, exactly. People like people.
So they need.
So if you
trust.
but if you have the budget to just create an AI version next to a diesel engine, more power to you. But at the end of the day, having a person who may even potentially be your account manager further down the line is what's really, I think, showing the value at this point, or at least the trends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I get cold emails with it now that you think about it. Yeah, because people review your website, and then they'll have, say, somebody reviewing the website, but at this point you're not necessarily entirely sure, and a lot of it can be AI generated. I think it can be effective, but I do think maybe this is the point where it has leverage, but there's going to be a point where, we're all going to be bombarded with something like that it's almost going to kind of, I would say, lose its power in a way. Because there are people who can utilize it now, and that's great, but I do think... Yeah, exactly.
We have another question.
Grab me after this, because I want to see kind of what you've done, because
Yeah.
I have dreams of running a full. Hey, we spent next to zero time on this campaign. We used 4 or 5 different tools to automate it, and then we just did pure human created campaign over here, and let's run them side by side. If it could perform at half the level as the human created one, and still make more sense to do that because it's more cost efficient. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. I guess where I was going with that is, ideal state, I'd love to do a test of different variations of it. I have yet to be able to get anything serviceable out of the video and image generated AI. So that's why I'm interested to see if you can help me with the prompts and things like that, because I have yet to get anything. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're officially out of time. I'm sorry if you asked your question. Maybe ask them on their way down.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.